everyone. Welcome to Sunrise Extra. Hey, Director Brooke, can you flip our little camera so we can see everybody?
Oh, there we are.
How are you guys doing? This is our spy cam shot from our studio.
Spike.
So, yes, as much as you need to be. Yes. We're talking about graduations because we've been getting a lot of shout outs for high school graduates, college graduates. It's been a funky year and a half. So in that theme, we wanted to ask, what's the best advice that you would give your graduating self if you could go back in time, and all of the life lessons that you've learned in between? And also, on a fun side note, what was a senior prank that you heard of, took part in,
I think yours must be really bad, because Drew is claiming that he didn't do any pranks. And if there was one person on this desk that I would think had a hellacious prank, it would be you.
Right. I have some great stories from that senior year that I'm not ready to share yet with the audience. We're getting to know each other still. It's been 2 years doing this, and I'm almost ready to tell you some of those stories, but not quite there. But no, I don't recall being part of a prank. I don't know if a prank happened at my high school. I don't remember it happening. But we do hear all the time about these crazy, well thought out, not always well intentioned senior year pranks. So if you have one of those, or if you've heard of one of those, we think that could be really fun on a Friday. But the jumping off point again is from the files of, if I only knew then what I know now. What sort of advice would you give as an adult now to your high school senior self entering the world?
You start.
Oh, you darn son of a gun, you. I wanted to set it up, not explain. Okay, so I think, one thing I've thought of, just in general for younger people when it comes to relationships. I remember being so in love with, this person and that person. Not that many people actually, but a couple of people before I met my wife. And when I was younger. And, those relationships ended. Believe it or not always because I wanted them to.
To this,
not always, they were ended by other people sometimes.
You got dumped, is what you're saying.
I got dumped.
That's what he's saying.
I remember one dumping in particular that I felt very upset about. I thought this life is not worth living. And I don't mean to joke about that. Now, I didn't take it to those extremes, but I did think what the hell am I? What the heck am I doing now? I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with that person. Now I look back and go, what the heck? What were you thinking? That is nuts. That's not right. So I just wish I could tell people, hey, you're going to meet some people, you're going to meet some more people, and you may meet some more people after that. Don't necessarily just think the world hangs in the balance of one person. Now, maybe you're lucky. I guess I've heard of people who met their wife, their future partner in high school, and they lived happily ever after. Now that can happen too, but I just fear for my own kids that they meet that person in high school that they fall madly in love with, and when that relationship ends, I just don't want them to be as crushed as I was.
That's part of life. That is the growing up part. Is you go through all those wild ups and downs and swings, and that's how you learn. You can't protect your kids from
you're
that.
Right about
nor
that
should
too.
you.
I shouldn't be raising children.
Gosh.
You should be raising my children.
No. Oh my gosh, I got it all wrong the first time, I think. So that's how I'm giving good advice. Don't do what I did. No.
Nina.
I was trying to find, I saw somebody did a list of kind of this, what advice would you give to a younger person?
You have no advice for yourself.
No, I was going to go off, and I remember the one at the top was you are not going to marry that first or second or probably third,
boyfriend,
girlfriend, whoever, that you were dating, and it's not the end.
Thank God.
And we've all had that moment of you think, oh my God, I'm crushed, or what do I do now? And it just takes that forethought and getting older to realize it's okay.
Exactly. I do think I told my kids that I think
that advice always will never hit. We'll never land with teenagers ever.
And that's your point, is that we just have to go through it, right?
Yes.
But I wish I could, someone could have been, I don't think I ever conveyed to anyone how crushed I was or devastated I was. I wasn't going to burden my mom with that. I always felt like she had too much going on in her life that she didn't need to deal with my problems. So, but if my kids run into that situation, I hope they do let me know, because I go, oh, I've been there. it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah, I was notorious though. Yeah. My dad had a saying, I can't remember exactly how he would say it, but it was like this catch-all, like you're never going to learn anything because nobody can ever tell you nothing. It was something like that, and that was me. Right. I was so hard-headed. I was going to do what I wanted to do, and it never ended well, especially with some of those relationships. But, now I look back on it, I'm glad for all those experiences. It's like live and learn, and that's what I would tell my kids. It's like, boy, especially in high school, and none of this is going to matter. Right. I mean, it's going to be a blip in time. It seems like, oh my God, huge things, and it is at the time. Right. But in the grand scheme of things, girl, guy, whoever, not going to matter. Yeah. Not going to matter.
My stepdad, I always remember him giving me a solid piece of advice that, like, some of those things stick with you. Some of those things go in and out, one ear, in one ear, out the other. Other things stick with you now, like 30 years later, where he said, as I was telling him I'm going to be a professional broadcaster. That's why you're going to college? That's what you're going to do with your degree? So he says, okay, whatever you're going to do with it, that's fine. He says, but just remember this. I hope you really want to do this because you're going to have to do this job, whatever that job is, you're going to do this job for 45 years.
Oh, that's old school.
And I was like, 45 years? No, I won't do this for 45 years. But yes, you will do it for, when I was 20, he's right. Like, that takes you to 65. If you're lucky, you stop then. You might have to keep on going. But like, I don't think anyone really thinks about that when they pick that career choice. Are you ready to do this for 45 years?
Yeah, but that is old school. I mean, I've been here a long time, like 32-ish.
32 in August.
August, wow. Yeah, you knew that.
19th.
He knew it quicker than I knew it. But yeah, most people don't do that ever. And especially now.
You can have a career change is what your point is, right?
That's many.
But I think his point was you're spending all that money on college because you're nailing down something that you think is what you want to do, and you're spending all that dollars and cents on that one thing. So he was just hoping that I was serious, and I was, obviously.
I think kids before they go on to college should have a gap year. Everybody should have a gap year. Yeah. And it should be something where it's not literally like it shouldn't be that they can afford it or not. Just the experience of taking some time away. And
you mean between high school and college?
Yes. Oh, a year.
I would have not gone to college.
Service.
I think there's a lot, like I had momentum, and if I would have not done that, it would be bad. No.
I bet you would have.
I had a gap semester. I think I've told you before. Like I started, fall after senior year of high school. I started college. Had a very successful first semester, like a 3-point something, grade point average. Second semester, I was like, man, this college thing is easy. I'm going to take all my classes on Tuesday and Thursday. Like, I looked at the schedule, like, wow, I could line it up so I don't have to even go to class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 4-day weekends, all semester long. 5 classes on Tuesday and Thursday, sign me up. And I didn't really go to many of those Tuesday and Thursday classes. Got a 0.8 my second semester. I mean, I was checked out. Like, it was what did you call it? The buffer year,
gap
year. It was a gap year semester. While enrolled. And kind of like at the last, in the last couple of weeks, I panicked. I was like, what am I going to do? And I went and talked to the advisor and all that business. He's like, go take the finals, do as best you can. And I got 2 Fs. He asked me to go to every professor and ask for an incomplete, because there was something with the incomplete that I could take the course later and make it up. He said, see, they may not give it to you. They may just say, the heck with you, you're getting an F. 2 said, no thank you, and they gave me Fs. 2 said, okay, we'll give you an incomplete. And 1, I actually showed up for the final and aced it somehow and got a C.
Oh, wow.
But the C, 2 Fs, and 2 Is got you a 0.8 on probation, and kind of did well the rest of the way, thankfully. But that was
it was a lesson.
There was a moment.
Yes, a learned lesson.
Correction.
Yeah, people having some good advice. John No says, dear younger me, the piece of paper don't mean jack without experience. Like a degree, yes. Yeah. Gary Byrne says, go for your dreams. No matter how big, you'll never know if you don't try. Cassie, our producer Cassie, says, what happened, happened. We learned from all of it. And Jennifer Taft, our regular, says, advice, do what you love. Find a degree and a career that has passion, and don't let people talk you out of it. And education does matter. There is nothing worse than being 50 and having to figure out what you're going to do when you grow up. That also can be kind of refreshing if you flip it mentally and saying, what am I going to do, having a total career change.
There's always a new chapter.
I think a lot of people are doing that out of the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Too.
Absolutely. That's
you're working from home, you're with your family more, you're like, geez, this is great. What can I do that gets me that more often?
I'm on the fence about this piece of advice that says, do what you love. right? Go after what you love. Because I kind of, and Rod has talked about this before too, I almost want to tell my sons, don't necessarily do what you want to do for a living, because oftentimes you are working your butt off doing that and maybe not bringing home, I know money's not everything. I'll preface it with that. But a lot of times you're working your tail off. You have like no outside of work life because this career that you love. I just think about TV. I have to get up so darn early. It definitely impacts life outside of TV. I'm thinking about other careers where I see these people taking off on Fridays regularly, where they're taking vacations regularly. And they may not love their jobs, but darn it, this job pays well. They bust their butt for a certain amount of time during the week, but they're not killing themselves 7 days a week. And I feel like maybe you should find a job that will, if you're lucky enough, you can find a job that will really set you up to have an outside of work life that you can enjoy. And that does require a lot of times money. I mean, you can't travel too well.
You have federal holidays off as well.
Yeah, you can't travel very well without money. So I'm feeling like you have to have a job that pays, but it doesn't have to be necessarily a job that you love doing. Like, I feel like go after that thing that's going to set you up to have an outside of work life.
Well, I mean, I feel like I do have an outside of work life. I think your personality and my personality, and I think yours too, I think whatever you are doing, you would throw yourself into it 100%, 110%, because you're that kind of perfectionist. You make everything look like it's easy and quick, and that's how your mind works. It spins so fast. I think it wouldn't matter what you were doing. I think you would bring that same intensity. Maybe that's the best word that I'm thinking. Because I do think it's important to find something that you feel in the flow with, because that makes my day go quick. When I'm doing an interview and I get to, like, you know, sit down and log it and, you know, kind of digest it, like my day goes like that, because I'm completely immersed in that and it doesn't feel like work. I like the puzzle of putting it together. It's like mentally challenging, but not too crazy hard that it's frustrating. Sometimes it is. I'm not sure I agree with find something you love and it'll never feel like work. I love what I do. It does feel like work some days. Some days I don't like it at all. Some days I love it. Some days I'm completely neutral. But, you know, that's probably the expectation that I would give to my younger self, is that there's never a there. There's always something that you're going to be going through in every decade until you leave this earth. It just is that way. And I always thought, oh, when I get this job or when I do this, I'll be set. I think at 17, when I graduated, that's what I thought.
I thought that, I remember living at home where I knew what my mom made. Basically, I knew what she made every month. I knew what she made for the year. Like, I knew the number. And I remember thinking, man, someday, if I can make $50,000 a year, I will be rich. I will be so rich. Like, I was thinking about all the cars I would be driving in the big house. Like, there was just this, for some reason I had that number in my head. And now here we are. I mean, obviously we're in 2021. You know, hopefully you're making $50,000. I know that's a great salary, but it's not, you're not swimming in riches. 50,000. But at the time I thought, man, if I could just find a job that pays me 50 grand, I will be set for life. I might retire early.
Everything is all relative, right? Let's see, what else are people saying? Let's see.
What are your thoughts on this Friday?
Tony Rizzuto. Am I pronouncing that right? The high school diploma is a stepping stone to the future. More success comes from it than from not having it. Find people that had to get a GED after they dropped out of school. Have a goal for the future and try to stick to it. Having a college degree may not matter. Ooh, that's another good point. I always tell my kids, whatever you end up doing, because they're kind of finding their way too, make sure your first paycheck, you set up a little account that's an investment account, because compound interest is a beautiful thing. If you make 30 grand a year or 20 grand, if you start when you're 22 and you keep socking it away, by the time you're 65, you'll be in way better shape.
Susie Orman right here.
I know, right?
Somebody also likening you to, she is our KGW Oprah therapist, Jennifer Taft. And some Stanford Walker saying, yep, she's my therapist on Sunrise Extra. Marilyn Joe Daly says, do something that brings meaning to your life. Money will never be enough to motivate you to love a job that you hate.
That is
true.
That is true.
I'm thinking about this. Now, if we had, do we have any dentists watching? Because I was talking about this job that I would like to have, and I shouldn't speak about being a dentist. since I've never been a dentist, and I don't really know how hard or easy it is. But
I don't want breath and like
oh, they wear masks now.
I know,
They've got gloves on.
Yuck.
It's completely protected. But
I watch Dr. Pimple Popper, and I'm fine with that. But dentistry, no.
But those are the people I'm thinking of when I talk about someone who works like Monday through Thursday and always has off on Friday, and like it seems like their hours are pretty short Monday through
I
Thursday.
do have some dentist friends, and it is exactly like that.
So is it as easy if you're a dentist or no a dentist? Is the schedule as great as I've made it out to be in my mind?
Are you a pro-dentite then?
I am a pro-dentite. In fact, I want to go back to school and become an actual dentite.
I can see Dr. Carney.
I feel like I would have pleasant bedside manner.
Imagine you in like a
I'd
jacket.
be the first dentist you ever went to who actually
orthodontia or
floss.
just family dentistry?
You don't have to floss. You don't have to floss.
That's because he
floss
doesn't
if you
floss.
I don't floss either, folks. We're a couple of non-flossers,
Yes.
and we're proud of it.
That is so
Some people do have to floss. I'm just saying, not everyone has to floss.
And you don't have any cavities.
No, I remember as a kid before the adult teeth came in, I think I had cavities, a cavity or two, but not in my 9 to now life, 9 years old to present, cavity free.
That's
I told Nina my bottom teeth are so jacked up, they're so like
Nothing
crooked
can get
and
in
messed
there.
up. They needed braces, but I never got them. But no, it's a lot. Come on. But the fact is, stuff can't wedge itself in there. They're so crooked and overlap. I think they're protecting themselves, but down there.
There you go. Renee Robertson, hey, good morning to you, girl. She says, I went to college 1 year, took a year off to be a nanny on the East Coast. Great decision for me. I ended up graduating from Rutgers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's in your neck of the woods, eh?
Yeah, Rutgers, New Jersey. Yeah.
I don't know why I
Rutgers Scarlet
Canadianized
Knights.
that,
That's true. Christy says you don't need to go to college. It's not for everyone, and that is true. We try to shove people through one little funnel. Find something that you like and that you will enjoy for years.
I would have not had the guts to not go to college because everyone else was, and
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be too scared to not do it. Plus, I wouldn't have gotten away
That's
with that.
another great point.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I
I'd be
do.
too scared not to.
But that's another thing. I would say be bolder. All the things that we were scared of that never materialized into anything.
Well, my parents would scratch out the word scared and just write stupid.
No,
Like,
well,
no,
you
you're
know what?
going.
Yeah, well, that's true. There would be a battle, perhaps.
Repercussions, yes.
I just kind of always thought I'd go there. I will say in my school, like in my high school, I'd say the majority of people, went to college or had this college track. They were talking about college. So that was definitely the norm. But in the neighborhood I lived in, like in that particular neighborhood, not. Like I grew up with a lot of guys who wound up doing something in the trades, something else. They worked hard from 18 to the present and are still working hard. But I always thought like there might be another avenue. Like when I was struggling in that second semester, I literally went to the guy across the street who happened to be a postman, and I said, "Hey, can you hook me up with a job at the post office?"
What do I gotta do?
I see what you do every day, walking around, looking fit. Being friendly, I think I could do that job. Like, could you get me into the post office? Because I thought this college thing is not working out presently. And like, he was more than willing to help me out. But my mom was like, "Really? That's you?" Or my sister was like, she's the one who kind of was like, "I don't see you being a postman. I don't think you're going to enjoy that."
He was a panicked postman.
You were a
It was a career
broadcaster,
choice that was impulsive.
You shouldn't pick
Postman.
That's funny.
Just 'cause you're
I
panicking.
like Monica's comment. Monica Shearer, follow your passion. It's okay to make mistakes once. Then it becomes a habit. Someone will always disagree with your choices. Remember, they are your choices, not theirs.
We have a friend who is a therapist. I always get those confused. Therapist, and he does like, I guess also life coaching, but that's just therapy, right?
I would think so.
So he was saying that there's younger people in their 20s now, and there's one particular person he knows that the mom is sending this like 24-year-old to therapy because of failure to thrive, it's called now. And he has gone through college for like 8 years or something and switched majors and just is like, I don't know. But is living at home with the parents who aren't really, they're getting the therapist to like figure it. He has no other, issues. And that would be so frustrating to me.
No, that's a parent problem.
That's what I'm saying. As
That's
a parent
problem.
yes,
You need
you
the
got to have
therapy.
some tough love
Absolutely.
and flick them in the forehead and say, you got to get it together.
It's hard. When you finally
Yeah.
reach your line, if my 24-year-old had been in school for 8 years, that will be way past the line.
And the parents are paying for the school.
Yeah.
Failure to I thought that was
Yeah, I
funny,
wonder
though.
what
You
they-
use that with infants. Failure to
Yeah, that's like
thrive
a
is
medical
like
term or something, right?
exactly.
And then now they're
usually
using
think of
it
a
in
little
there.
baby.
I know, but it's just like,
Oh my
pick
goodness.
something.
Yeah, you know, my sister, I watched her
Or
bounce
don't,
around.
but you leave home.
Yeah.
You get to go out on your own and
Get out
figure
of
it out.
here.
Do you think it's good advice to tell someone? Because I always thought it would be wise to tell someone. I would suggest not going to college until you know what you're going there for. Like, what is your course of study?
Oof, that'd be
Or
a
is
long
that
time for
not
some people.
a good piece of advice?
That they have to know that before they go in.
Like, yeah, if you're going to start paying all that money, you're doing it because you have a plan, and
No,
it's this
I mean,
career choice, and it's
yeah.
going to require this course of study.
I do feel like we have it backwards because, I mean, seriously, I was 17 when I started college, almost 18. I thought I wanted to be a business major. I was at University of Portland for a semester. I hated business and panic because I'm like pretty organized. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm like, 18 now, and I'm
You
trying
want to be
make
a business
these
major and you hate math as much as I do.
I know, it was ridiculous.
funny.
I should
Yeah.
never have. But my counselor said, why don't you do like communications, liberal arts?
Yeah.
You can take all these different, requirements and then kind of work your way into something. And that was the best advice. How can we expect? Really? I mean, some know.
Yeah.
Once
But a
I
lot of
hit it,
times
I
you take
got
all
it.
the anthropology and like whatever kind of classes, and then that sparks something, and you're like,
Yes.
oh, this is like really cool and fascinating, I would never have taken this class in a million years, but, and so some people really kind of meander, and you don't have to choose a major until how far in?
I don't know
Probably
how.
later.
Yeah.
Which
you,
is good for
You would say
people.
you would tell someone it's okay to start college without knowing exactly what you want to do.
For my daughter, I'm like, yeah, you're
get there.
going,
Okay.
and hopefully you have a thing of interest,
But
but
it's so freaking expensive. I mean,
Yes.
I do
Yes.
get that as well.
Right.
If you have the luxury to be able to afford a college and your parents are good with it,
Yes.
it's like, I do think that there's something about critical thinking, and being challenged.
and
your
social
beliefs,
skills,
being
living away,
challenged,
you're
absolutely.
on a campus, you got to get there at a certain
Yes.
time. There's mom's not driving you to
Yes.
school anymore,
Yes.
or, bugging you to do your homework. Like, this is a little bit of reality of like, you better turn in your assignments, Drew, so you don't get a 0.8.
This is just total selfishness now. I know we have to run, and I appreciate everyone who's chimed in this morning and helped us out with the topic. But I'm just curious, when did you guys know or figure out I want to be a broadcaster for a living? I want to get into TV
Like
news.
early high school.
Okay, so you had that going into college, you knew, as did I, but you did not.
I knew that I loved to write.
Okay.
It was creative writing.
But
when
specifically,
I was younger.
I want to be on TV.
As soon as I was in college and discovered UPTV, it's like I knew I loved that.
That's
it was
cool,
Like
yeah.
It just was something that connected with me. I'm like, this is what I want to do.
There you go. And my sister, by the way, if you have a child who seems to be just floundering around, or what was the phrase that that they're
It's
using?
Failure to thrive.
Failure to launch.
Failure to
yeah.
launch?
I think that's
If you have
the
a child that's failing to launch,
Maybe
my
that's what
sister
it was,
bounced
yeah.
around, I want to say 4 different colleges, 3 different majors. She was really close to getting her teaching certificate. Eventually landed in nursing and started nursing before she even got her bachelor's. She got like an associate's in nursing, and she felt like, I'm 28, I better start working. But she's had a great nursing career now.
Yeah.
She's 50 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it can still happen
Nice.
even in your late 20s,
it will
obviously.
happen. Exactly. There's more than one way to cross the finish line. 100%.
Connie Staub Miller says her husband got his degree well into his 40s after working and raising 3 kids. It's never too late.
Never too late.
Yes. Enjoy your Friday, you guys. Thanks for weighing in. We'll see you tomorrow on Monday. That's what I meant.